Good afternoon and welcome to Second Chance. Second Chance is a weekly talk show that examines a wide range of social issues and seeks to inspire physical, emotional, social, and spiritual healing, believing that God is a God of second chances, and through faith, all things are possible. Second Chance airs live each week from the beautiful campus of Oakwood University and features real people with real issues and offers real answers. And now, here's your host, Kenneth Anderson.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Second Chance radio broadcast. I am delighted that you've taken this time to spend with us on this beautiful day. Can you imagine this, folks? Today is the second Sunday of the month of August. We are clipping right through the month. We, of course, want to welcome all of those people who are returning back to school. Our public school system got lit up this past week. I saw all those wonderful posts on social media of proud parents and educators who are welcoming children and youth back into those spaces. And of course, we know that our higher education community is also beginning to come back to life because this is that time of year. You know, next to graduation season, this happens to be one of my favorite seasons as well, because it's almost like you've gone through the winter of education where things have gotten a little bit slow, and now the spring has once again brought life to those campuses, and we're so excited. Even right here on the campus of Oakwood University, we're excited, and we welcome all of those coming back at this time in this area. We welcome everybody who's listening on the radio this afternoon around the nation, and there may be people even around the world who are going back to school, because there are people listening this afternoon at 90.1 FM on the radio, and we welcome you to the broadcast. There are people listening this afternoon at WJOU.org, which is on the internet, which means you can literally be anywhere in the world right now listening to this broadcast. And of course, there are people who've really gotten hip to the live stream at Praise 90.1 FM on YouTube and Facebook. And that means we have an opportunity for you to be a part of our conversation on today. So we welcome and invite each of you to be a part of this broadcast. We certainly hope that you'll share it. That's just take this little finger right here and do a little click. Let people know about all the good stuff that's going on, and we appreciate that for sure. Every Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, we have some really, really cool conversations with some really, really cool people. And today, of course, is going to be no different. I'm excited about my first guests who are with me right now because I know they've got just a bunch of good stuff to talk about. I'm going to introduce them at this time. Adina Peyton is the founder of an organization called GRAMI, Getting Real About Mental Illness. She is no stranger to this broadcast. We welcome her back to this platform. Adina, how you doing this afternoon?
Great. It's great to see you, Kenny.
Sammie Last is with us. She's vice president of this great organization and making some things happen. And of course, she's always on the scene. This is like a tag team, a dynamic duo. This is a group that drives energy from one another. And whenever they show up, the room just lights up and you know good stuff is happening. Sammie, how are you doing this afternoon?
I am doing good. We're running hard, but I'm doing good, Kenny. It's always a joy to see you.
Yeah, likewise. Listen, and if you're running hard, that means some really, really good stuff is happening. And we're going to talk about some of that good stuff this afternoon. I will not delay it any longer. Let me just give people a little background real quickly before we talk about what we're going to discuss today. GRAMI, Getting Real About Mental Illness, which is a very powerful and representative name for an organization that's making a profound impact in many people's lives, is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to advancing mental health awareness, crisis intervention training, and trauma-informed support for first responders. I think that's what makes this initiative so unique. Founded after the tragic death of Bradley Austin Pugh in a mental health crisis, GRAMI now provides fully licensed confidential mental health therapy to those who serve and funds vital for CIT training across Alabama and beyond. And of course, I've got these two ladies on today. Something big must be happening, and it is. It is the annual Brad Pugh Memorial First Responders Fundraiser. It's a mouthful, but it is absolutely worth it. Ladies, it is just so great to be back in this space to talk about GRAMI. We're going to talk all about the fundraiser in a moment, but I want to first of all start where I usually start when I bring you guys on, and Adina, especially when I bring you on, because your story is so powerful. If you could just give us the Cliff Notes version of how a tragedy in your life brought you to this space of compassion and caring and actually leveraging your pain in such a way that has now helped to uplift other people.
Well, I knew that my son was having problems and was depressed, but had tried a lot of different things that didn't work. And so in November of 2020, in a mental health crisis and a standoff with the local law enforcement, he lost his life. And I fought for a while for transparency and accountability, because I felt like something had happened that we could do better. And about 9 months in, God kind of flipped the script and revealed to me how much trauma a first responder actually goes through. They don't complain. They just keep doing it and doing it. But I realized that that much trauma causes a person not to be able to be their fullest, capacity, and that we couldn't tackle the whole mental illness thing, but maybe just to keep our first responders healthy. And if we could find a way to do that privately, they might have a better chance of going and doing it.
Yeah, powerful story indeed. And of course, we spent some time actually unpacking that at times on this broadcast and allowing you to share such a powerful story. And again, I always celebrate you in this space, because as a mental health counselor for so many years, working in this community, investing in other people's lives in ways that actually become a benefit for myself. Because when you give, you cannot resist the opportunity to grow and ultimately become the beneficiary of what you give to others, which is why I think this is such an important story that we're talking about. And the idea that in your pain and your adversity, which easily could have turned in a different direction, and this doesn't discount the pain. It's real. It's a real thing, a lived experience that happened. But as you said, you were able to shift that energy and redirect it in a very powerful way. Sammie, you have been attracted to this space also, and have been a comrade in this effort and a strong supporter and carry a title of vice president. But talk to me a little bit about what draws you to this particular initiative, and in your own words.
Well, Adina would be the first to tell you that God sort of pulled me in kicking and screaming because I came with a group just to pray for Adina. And as a result, her vision and her passion is infectious. And she lied to me a little bit. She just wanted me to be on the board to pray. But anyway, that was 4 years ago, and here we are now. But we call ourselves Thelma and Louise most of the time, because it seems like we end up doing things that we didn't really intend to. But it's really been a blessing, and it truly has opened my eyes in this area that I guess I was just kind of shielded especially from the experience that Adina has gone through and continues to traverse. But the birth of GRAMI was supposed to be very slow and deliberate, but like I said, I think God had other plans, and we took it it was pretty fast moving. It has been since.
Yeah, and ladies, and especially Sammie, because I know you through the Cornerstone Initiative. That's where we first met, faith-based organization that was actually doing a compassion conference and really bringing people in the community together around this sort of central need that we all have, a need to be understood and a need to be accepted and a need for compassion. As people of faith, of course, this is the core who we are. And isn't it amazing, as you shared, how God will sometimes take our passion for faith in terms of the mission that we have and actually leverage it in a way that not just benefits someone else, but enriches the lives of others in the community,
Yeah.
and literally make us the hands and the feet of God.
Amen. 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 Well, like I said, I mean, our relationship through Cornerstone, I can look back, as you said, to where it was like a stepping stone of preparation for me, because I had worked with homeless for over 10 years and then went to Cornerstone and now here with GRAMI. So all of it is a process.
Yeah. Adina, it's been a journey, of course, and you've had a chance now to look forward to the fourth annual event here, big fundraiser that a lot of people get excited about, a lot of people are supporting. What have you learned in this journey? And I know you've learned a lot, but just talk to me a little bit anecdotally about what have you learned in this particular space?
I have learned that it's hard sometimes to be empathic for a situation that has not happened to you. You know, I'm seeing it more and more when I've judged people or been judged. It changes when the same situation happens to them. So I tend to try to not judge as much because I realize they can't feel it sometimes. You can't get excited about something you're not excited about. And so I've learned that to not take it personal when people don't show up sometimes. And I've learned that you have to, the things that really matter sometimes are not easy, and that you will not be applauded all the time, that you have to do it as if you're doing it to God. And just keep trudging, even when you cannot see that something is changing.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned.
And, you know, you have developed really, really significant relationships with our first responders in this community and those organizations that represent them, whether it's, HPD or Madison County Police Department, or if it's HEMSI, or if it's, I'll say, legislators who certainly advocate for these kinds of legislative activities that support people who have mental illness issues. What has that felt like for you to sort of navigate that process and try to build a coalition of people who understand what you're trying to do and then begin supporting what you do?
It's interesting you would say that, but I was shocked at times when I couldn't get collaboration. But I've noticed that if you keep doing the work and you stay clean and to the mission, little by little, it's chinking the wall. And that's important. And it's very important to do what you say you're going to do, because that way people can see that you did mean for good, even if they may not, that might not be their first mission oriented type thing. They know that you are doing what you said you're going to do. And I hope that we have been able to show all of the agencies that we are there for them, to help them, not to harm them.
Yeah. Sammie, as you move around the community, because you're connected with a lot of different groups and you do spend time really vested in the quality of life matters of this community, what do you think the message is that that you would like to see people get as a consequence of GRAMI's existence?
We were meeting with someone today, and I think one of the toughest things, Kenny, has been to just know that we really do, as Adina says, mean what we say, that our hearts are after our law enforcement, our firefighters, HEMSI employees, as well as dispatchers. That's something I would have never thought of, that a 911 dispatcher, I mean, they hear the person that's in the throes of something that would have never come up on my radar, that someone like that would possibly need some mental health counseling and might be concerned about getting that counsel because of job security. And I think that's something that I guess it just comes around again and again with things that we have dealt with. I know that you know, sometimes I think we all have almost felt like, we were not trustworthy, or that people didn't really trust them, that we really, and I say we, but more so Adina, because she is the head of the spear on this because of the trauma. And, but to be able to say, this wasn't even Adina's idea. I mean, this was not her idea, and certainly she didn't want to do it. But as she said, God flipped the script on this, and I just think that it is beginning to make some headway locally, and as you said, legislatively in the state. So,
Yeah, and I have to tell you, I think one of the big wins in this whole process and this whole journey is the legislative wins, because when you get that kind of energy behind something and you actually kind of see it moving across the state and having the potential impact and consequences that you look for in those processes, that is an amazing thing to see. And I know, Adina, your heart has to be full as a consequence of that experience.
Well, it's interesting because through a family member of Sammie's, they were working on some legislation in another state about first responders, and it just intersected, and we were able to speak with them the other day about a possible collaboration, and we've already talked to some of our legislators about it. So it's you think you're down here and nobody's listening, but God's working all the way up there. So it's exciting.
Yeah. And you got to kind of throw into, we have such an amazing community of, I think, some of the most caring people around, who are attentive and attuned to the things that are happening on the ground, and will at least be willing to listen. But I think we have a percentage of people who are willing to jump right into that. It's really second to none. I'm very proud to be a part of this community and very honored that so many people seem to care and so many people want to get behind stuff. And of course, the big GRAMI annual Brad Pugh Memorial First Responders fundraiser, that mouthful, is coming up.
I know. I don't know how to shorten that, but it ain't going to be about leaving Brad Pugh out.
And no, listen, don't worry about shortening it. It's right where it needs to be. So that's a good thing. Tell us a little bit about when this takes place, where it takes place, and then let's kind of talk about what people can expect when they come and be a part of this.
When and where, and then you get the good part. Okay, it's going to be at the Ledges on Friday night, August 15th, from 6:30 to 10:30, and I'm going to let Sammie cover the fun part.
All right, Sammie, go for it.
Well, we truly are convinced that the Brad Pugh fourth annual fundraiser is going to be our best ever. Again, it is at the Ledges on Friday. It's a Friday night, August the 15th, from 6:30 to 10:30. We're going to have wonderful music by the fabulous Flashback. So I think there's a music decade for everybody. We're going to have delicious food. We've got an array of items for our silent auction, but I think our highlight is we're going to have a live auction. And we have our mayor, Tommy Battle, our sheriff, Kevin Turner, and then the Honorable Judge Frank Barger as auction items, shall we say, actually a dinner with these fine gentlemen. So you just don't want to miss. It is a fundraiser, so we are trying to do more with GRAMI, so we do need the funds. So please, just people come and enjoy. We'll have, if you go on our website, which is gramius.org, there's the QR code and everything to buy tickets. So it's going to be a great night, and you just don't want to miss. Oh, and we have the best MC
of all time. Of all time. And he's an auctioneer, too.
Go ahead.
And now, who might that be?
That is the I wouldn't say infamous, the famous Dr. Kenny Anderson.
We love you, Kenny
You
Anderson.
too. You're the best.
Well, thank you. Listen, you guys are so kind, but I have to say this. Adina, for me, has become one of those people I cannot say no to.
Aww.
And I'm sincere about that. You know, in retirement, I say no to a lot of people, but Adina's one of those people because I have actually seen her heart and I have felt her heart touch me and touch this community in such a powerful way. I know her sincerity. I know what she's targeting. I know why this matters to her. And so it's just an honor for me. Even if I was going to come to the room and just be in the room and support the process, it would be awesome. But be able to take an active role means a lot to me because, Adina, you are a very special person. And thank you for all that you do and all that you mean to this community.
Thank you, Kenny.
Tell us one more time where people can get information about this awesome event.
Okay, you can go on our website, which is gramius.org, gramius.org, or Eventbrite, which is where most people buy tickets. You can pull up the word Grammy or Brad Pugh or fourth annual, and it should pull right up. And if not, our number is on the website, and you can call me direct, and I will get you to the website, or just show up.
Yeah, we've got a flyer on the Grammy Facebook page too. So
just show
with
up
the QR code. Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm thinking like this, right? The Ledges, what a great venue, and spectacular views, and it's going to be great fellowship. It's going to be great food, all for a great cause. We're talking about getting real about mental illness and making an impact in the lives of those first responders who are on the front lines who see so much. Ladies, thank you for what you do, and thank you for sharing this gift with our community. And we look forward to seeing you very, very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kenny.
All right. Have a great day.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. What a great way to start the show today, folks. Adina, Peyton, and Sammie Laster, they are the Thelma and Louise, self-proclaimed, of GRAMI. And we're so happy to have kickstarted the program today with their information about this big fundraiser that's coming up. And we're so happy and so honored to have them be able to share about the great work that they're doing on the ground to improve the quality of life for a very special group of people in our community. My next guest is queued up and ready, and I'm so happy to see her smiling face on the broadcast one more time. Brenda, I got to tell you, it is so good to see you. This is the second time in 34 years that you've been on my show, and I could not be happier. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. And I have to say, I'm just as happy. Same, same, my friend. After all these years, like, 2 times in the span of what, a year? I don't know, or less.
Yeah.
But it's an honor because, you are king, top tier, man.
Well, listen, I embrace that and I accept that very humbly, but I know who I'm talking to over here. Brenda is a retired Emmy-award winning journalist, held it down for so many years. And of course, lots of us have celebrated her growth, her development, her work in the field, the many things that she's accomplished. And we actually got a chance to reflect on a lot of that stuff the last time she was here, as we talked about retirement. But Brenda, since that conversation and now, a whole lot of stuff has happened with you. And I've just been following it on social media, and I wanted you to come back and share some of this energy with us today because I've realized we have a lot in common. We had great professional careers. We're both retired now, and we're both introverts. And who knew?
I know.
Who knew?
I know. Living in a duality, right? So, we have jobs. I had a job, and you currently, where we have to be outward facing and, give it our all. And it's not how we're wired.
Yeah.
But somehow or another, you when you find yourself in the space and it's something that is a wonderful opportunity, you rise to the occasion. So we're not wired to be extrovert and just I don't know, big. But we managed to do
Yeah.
it 9 to 5 to get that paycheck and to fulfill our dreams, right?
Right.
And then we go home. I don't know about you, but oftentimes we go home and on the weekends, I mean, just get under the covers
Yeah.
and just stay
Yeah.
for 48 hours
Yeah. Yeah.
to try to refuel and regroup before you have to do it all over again. So living in the world of duality, it's kind of exhausting. For it was for me because I did it for 40
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
So
Well, listen, I wanted to quote you because this is what triggered it for me when I first read this post on social media, because I was like, it's funny, you read things sometimes like, wait a minute, Brenda is an introvert? It's like it wasn't lining up, and it's that duality that you're talking about. But then I deeply understood it when I kind of shifted a little bit and thought, you know what, that's me. She's talking about me. And I know that's kind of how I responded when I saw it. I said, Brenda, I'm an introvert too. We need to talk about this.
right,
And so
right.
this is cathartic today for both of us. But let me just share with people the social media post that launched this conversation today. And I'm quoting Brenda. She said, as a news anchor, I spent 40 years speaking and moving with confidence in public while privately wanting to hide. I'm an introvert who worked outside my comfort zone every single day. I'm here for those who felt the same conflict. We're shy and strong, bashful and bold, private and powerful. We speak the same language. So let's encourage, motivate, and inspire each other to own our truth. No apology necessary. And then you went on and said some more amazing things. But I was like, wow, what an incredible revelation. And I immediately also thought about what triggered that. Is this something you've been thinking about for a while? Is this something that has happened post-retirement as you've reflected on the journey? What was the trigger for just this moment?
Well, in all transparency and all honesty, in retirement, you're not getting a steady fat paycheck. so, um, I'm looking for a way to add to my savings income, and so that I can continue to live the lifestyle that I want to live, without worry. And the thing about retirement, which you really don't fully understand until you're in it.
Mm.
It's sort of I hate to use it's a crapshoot. Like, okay, is my money going to outlive me, or am I going to outlive the money? I mean,
Right.
which one in it? Because you got a set pot of money, and then how long is it going to last?
Right.
So, um, I reached. I didn't really pay much attention to social media, to be honest with you. um when I was working. Actually, it was one of the reasons why I decided to retire. There were many reasons, and this
Mm.
was low level,
Mm.
but still it was a part of the reasoning. I got into news to shine a light on what's going on in our community, and to hold public officials and others accountable. That's sort of the crux of journalism. As time has evolved and the industry has evolved, it's now evolved. It's now all about personalities and how many followers you have on TikTok and Instagram and
Mhm.
YouTube and so forth. And I really felt like journalism had lost its way. I mean, if that's and so there was a lot of push where I was working, and not just where I was working, everywhere across the board in media, to get on social media and share your life, tell people what you're doing in your private life. And it's like, why? That's not journalism. It's not what I signed up for.
Right.
So it was one of the reasons why I said, you know what, I'm out.
Mm.
So I really haven't paid much attention to it. I had to have a Facebook page. I had to have an Instagram page. And so that was set up for me at work. I didn't pay any attention to it. But now that I'm looking at my bank account, and I will also say that time has passed. I retired in 2017.
Mhm.
It's been some time. 2017, things, and 2016, things were really taking off on social media. The algorithms have changed.
Mm.
Society has changed.
Mm.
It is a different ball game now out there on online. And it's not just about, you know, pretty faces and, you know, dressing nice and makeup and all of that. I mean, that's still out there, but it really is now a legitimate source of income. It is considered a legitimate job to be a content creator. And so, you know, I considered other things, but you know, Kenny, I'm about to turn 70 next month.
Wow.
And nobody's hiring 70-year-olds to, I don't know, to, you know, at Starbucks or, you know, to be a greeter at the store.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I could be a professor, I guess, somewhere, but I just thought, you know what, let me dabble in this social media thing. Let me see what it feels like, if it's something that I can do, and maybe it can be a source of income for me. I'm still figuring that out. So, you know, I'm not making any money off of what I'm doing right now, and I don't know if I ever truly will be able to. But I also had reached a place in my personal life and in my spirit where I felt like I was strong enough and brave enough to be transparent, because that's the other part of social media, right?
Yep.
The authenticity of it.
That's right.
And so I think I'm grounded enough now to be able to handle it, you know, without making a face.
Right. With this transparency that you have now brought to this specific area of talking about being an introvert and just sort of opening yourself up to other people for exposure, basically. I mean, that's what's happening. What kind of response have you gotten from people? What are people saying? How are they responding? What are they thinking?
You know what? To my surprise, the response was overwhelming. I mean, I cannot tell you how scared I was to do that first post and sort of to reveal, you know, the inner part of me. And you know, you record it, and I recorded it, and then I pondered over the push button, the send button, for about 3 hours. I'm not joking. I
Wow.
was so just scared and, you know, mortified that you know, that I was going to be so embarrassed. And the response instantly was, "That's me. You just spoke my you know, my world. This is what I've been living with." I'm like, "Wow, really?" Yeah. So, you know, I just got goosebumps on that, because I had no expectation for that kind of response. And there have been just hundreds of people who have, you know, taken it in, who it resonated with, and continue to follow me because of it.
Wow. Wow. I have to ask you this because I think about this a lot, and blessings to be transitioning to 70 next month. You know, and I'll be 68 next month, by the way, so I'm right behind you.
Buddy. Yes.
Yeah.
It's better than the alternative, right?
Oh, listen, that's right. I tell people all the time there are options, and I'm kind of okay with where I am right now.
Thank you. Hello.
Talk to me a little bit about how you have navigated the aging process, because there is some navigation that goes along with it that results in an outcome. And for me, I know that I'm kind of mindfully thinking about it because of what I'm noticing in terms of transition and change and other kinds of things. But I've tried to direct positive energy in those areas. How are you negotiating the aging process?
Interesting that you say that. So I'm launching today. As a matter of fact, I'm finishing up some editing right now on a series that I'm launching today, which is Age Defying After 50. And, you know, how to maintain that young frame of mind and approach life not based on the number age that we are, but to approach life by feeding our very spirit and our souls. You know, just kind of digging deep into, you know, what fulfills us, what gives us joy, what makes us happy, what makes us grow, what challenges us in a positive way. And so I fumbled around. Let me not, give you the illusion that I have the answers to all things and I'm the master now at being young or thinking young or whatever. I am not.
Yeah.
I have spent a lot of time fumbling around and, trying to figure out who I was outside of work and TV news and getting comfortable with it. Life is so fast for those of us for people who are still working 9 to 5 or long hours beyond that, that you really have little time to kind of sit down in silence and reflect on who you are and what you want, because you're so busy meeting everybody else's expectation, your families, your boss, your viewers, your stockholders, or whatever. And you don't have time to kind of reflect. So, I fumbled around and finally was able to settle my spirit long enough to figure out, okay, you know what? This is what I like. This is what I don't like. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm not going to do. Figuring out how to set boundaries. Um, that was a painful process, but I think I got it now. you know, so I don't have any great answers other than feed your spirit, and that's kind of what my series that I'm launching today says: feed your spirit, not your age, and live your best life.
So I'm going to add to that, and not adding to what you said. I'm going to share a perspective that I've come into with as much joy and gratitude as I can embrace. There's a boldness about this age that I'm at right now that I now have fully embraced. And part of that boldness is no shame in saying what I need to say. I'm thinking about it, but there's no shame in it. I'm not going to come back and apologize. There's this boldness where I have a sense of comfort that the decision I make is a good decision,
right? Because
I own the decision. Now, I may make a mistake in making the decision and have to fix something, but I own it. And I think that that's a boldness that I've never really experienced before. I could see where I have evolved to that. But now it's like, I have people that, either ask me for things, ask me to do things, and I could say no. I can choose to do what I want to do, if I want to do it, when I want to do it. It's just kind of a boldness that has actually created a sense of freedom in my life. And I really love that space.
You know what? I'm right there with you. Absolutely. You said it so beautifully. And this is, every time I write this down, I feel like it's contradictory, but it's not. And you've just said why. When I write #bold introvert, which sounds crazy. It's like, huh? Because it sounds like you're contradicting yourself, right? But this is exactly what I'm talking about, where you reach a stage of life where you feel like you have lived enough to know what you like, what you don't like, and you have enough, life credibility to be unapologetic about how you feel and what you want. It's like, you know what? I have been through too much. Really, I have been through too much. I have seen too much. I have had to, work out too much. I am not going to fiddle and faddle around with this. I know what I like. I know what I want. That's what I'm going to do. And, I may be wrong, but that's what I've earned the right to be bold. I've earned the right to be bold. Exactly. And it's a freeing feeling. Absolutely. You feel free.
Yes.
In a weird sort of way. You know what I'm saying? Just I'm 69, man. I'm gonna do what I want to do.
And I don't need your opinion about what I choose to do.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love that. Listen, I retired in October of last year, so you got a big head start on me, which is great.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, Brenda, I am living my best life. And I just thank God every day for the gift of retirement and the opportunity to do what I want to do. And I'm doing it. I mean, it's like I'm going, I'm involved, I'm engaged, I'm here, I'm there. People keep saying, you're not really retired. I see you, doing this, doing that, and the other. I say, yeah, but the difference is that I'm doing it on my terms, not anyone else's. Right. I'm not answering to anybody. I'm not being expected to be somewhere, or there's a scheduled thing, or there's a program or an event that I have to be a part of. If I choose to be there because I'm still alive, and I'm healthy, and I want to be involved, that's a good thing. So I love that about retirement, just the freedom to kind of come and go and move as I please.
It's a beautiful thing. It really is a beautiful thing. And I'm so happy for you. I really feel like it's such a blessing to be able to retire and sort of enjoy the fruits of your many decades of labor.
Yes,
There are lots of folks who don't get to do that
that's
for
right.
any number of reasons, health reasons, if, family reasons, and mental health reasons as
Mm,
well.
mm,
Some people retire and immediately, they worked a long time because they were scared to retire,
yeah,
then finally retired, and then their health, began to fail them.
yeah.
And so to have this moment in time, because we don't know how long that will last, right?
Sure.
As we get older, we get more and more frail, especially in our 80s and 90s.
Hmm.
So this moment in time where we still have our clarity and physical health and our families and a vision of what we want to do, and and to be able to do that in on your own terms, not anybody else's, it's a huge blessing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You, of course, in your social media postings and stuff, always involved with something enriching, something fun, maybe something relaxing. You're spending time with grandchildren and me
Yes.
time and other kinds of things. And that's part of that process too, I think, just sort of defining what works for us. And then again, embracing those elements of our lives that bring us that great joy. And I wonder how you kind of think about your life in terms of what's left, in terms of what you want to do, what you will do, where you will go, how you will show up in different things. What do you think about it that way, or does it just come to you as it comes to you?
So remember I said I've, been fumbling around. So I've been fumbling around for several years where, I didn't really have a plan. It was, it's just woke up and, I mean, it's not very smart. I'm telling you, I am not the guru. Um, but I think I've, as I have pursued this social media thing and kind of wrapped my brain around it before I even started and started thinking about it, I do now have some thoughts. So, the idea of coaching, the idea of putting together some digital products. I'm still trying to figure out, what it is that I can teach. Like, it's nobody, few people, and I don't even know how to teach this. Want to be, how do you become a news anchor? That's not a thing. That's not a teachable thing,
Right.
to sell a product on. So, there's some. I've got to put that together. But that's what's in my head now.
Mm,
Where am I going with this?
mm,
I feel like can provide some coaching maybe on public speaking and storytelling. I want to be able to travel, and I want to be able to make movies around that, because originally that's what I wanted to do, was be a movie maker.
mhm,
So, I kind of want to explore that aspect of social media and my ability to put together little videos. And I'm also considering a podcast. So I have a good friend in the radio business who's been pushing, and even my sons-in-laws have, since the beginning of my retirement, have been saying, you need to do a podcast. And I'm like, I don't know, I don't know. And now I'm thinking, well, maybe,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah, yeah.
So those are things that are on the table for me now.
Yeah, listen, that all sounds great. They always ask this question: if you could say something to your younger self, what would you say that would perhaps help guide your path in life and take you to where you might be right now?
Ooh, I, I, and a couple things. First of all, don't stress too much. It's going to work out.
Mm, mm,
Um, but more importantly, and this is why I'm hesitant, Kenny, because the career of news reporter and news anchor dropped on my doorstep. It wasn't anything that I pursued, and it was a steep climb for me.
mm,
Why I was successful I really can't tell you other than God. It was God's plan. I wanted to do something else. And I often ask myself, what if I had pursued the things I really wanted to do as opposed to letting life just kind of push me around? I think what I would tell myself, and maybe to my own detriment, because if I had not followed life pushing me around, I might not be here. I might not have been successful at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like there is a level of fulfillment that I missed out on because I didn't get to pursue the things I wanted to pursue, the things I dreamed of doing. And so I would tell my younger self, and I've told my daughters this: do what you want, do what is in your heart, not what somebody outside says for you, not what somebody else has designed for you and it looks good. Don't put on those golden handcuffs. Don't do it. Follow your heart, because at the end of the day, it's about feeling self-secure, feeling fulfilled in your life, and feeling like you really played a role in making a success of yourself. So I don't know.
As an extension of that point, when you think about legacy, because we all have an expiration date, not asking for it anytime soon, but it's coming. I'm okay with that. I've actually resolved that in my mind that, it's coming. I just want to do what I need to do today. And one of the things I want to do today is be a better version of myself today than I was yesterday.
Sure.
And that kind of keeps me moving in a direction where I have purpose and mindfulness and things of that nature. When you think about legacy, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want people to say about Brenda Wood?
Oof. I guess first of all, I would like for people to say that I was kind and grateful, that I recognized my blessings and did not take them for granted. I think I would like to be remembered for being a hard worker, again, not taking anything for granted, giving it my all, and pushing through, surviving. I had a rough beginning in life, and I'm an introvert, and I suffer from depression, and I haven't let any of that stop me from embracing life. So, someone who is kind, hard worker, grateful, a survivor.
Someone listening this afternoon is probably, and I hope they are, thinking about this introversion thing that they confront, or this extroversion thing that they confront. You always have those people in the room that'll say, I'm a little bit of both. Yeah, but
Right.
you tend to be one dominant more than the other. And people like you and I that have very public profiles, people are really surprised when I say, I don't want to work the room, when I go somewhere. I don't want to be, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to be up front. When I walk into various places that I can go where I could just sit in the back. Somebody's always going to invite me to the front, or invite me to get up on the stage and say something. I don't want to do that. There have been things I've not gone to because that's what's going to happen. And so, you're kind of in this space where people kind of see you as that person, but yet who you are inside. And I just wonder, I know you said that's you too. How have you negotiated those kinds of things as you've gone through your career?
Well, you and I speak the same language for real, for real, for real. It sounds odd, but one of the joys of being retired is being able to attend a gala because I support the cause,
Right.
and just be able to just sit at the table.
Yes.
with everybody else
Yes.
and eat dinner
Yes.
and not have the responsibility of, emceeing
Right.
and controlling the crowd and being funny
Right.
and and charming
Right.
and all that. I could just dress up and go and sit down.
Yeah.
And, always, whenever there's a break and people are kind of moving around, hobnobbing and, socializing between dinner and dessert or whatever, at the start of the second half of the program, I never do that. I sit right there in my seat. I don't go anywhere.
Right.
I just don't. I'm fine right here. I don't need to converse.
Mm.
I don't I'm not as famous as you anymore. You're still working. I know you call it retirement, but but you're still working. But that's all right because it makes you happy, so that it counts. But I'm not. So I'm really not. And I'll tell you the truth. When I was working, I wasn't part of the real, fluff social scene here in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't one of the it girls. Some of my other colleagues were and are.
Mm.
They're an it girl, so they get invited to all the, fancy stuff. I get invited to this stuff that I have put money to,
Right.
or they want me to MC.
Right.
But I'm just not that it girl.
Yeah.
So I'm not part of the establishment of social divas.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, so I'm not invited now especially now that I'm retired. Nobody's thinking about me, and I'm not hobnobbing at the gala. So I'm not working the room. I'm not. So, I don't have to worry about it as much as you, Mr. Sir. You're still a celebrity. I'm not.
I try not to be. It's just, I understand it, as I'm sure you understood it when you were in that space. I understand why it happens, but it's almost like I have this little taste of how you can go into a place and feel like there's an intrusive quality of the environment. And I just want to be left alone,
Yes.
and yet you have to be on. You got to have that face, you got to be pleasant, and
right.
and
If you're like me, you only have so much bandwidth
oh yeah,
for that.
yeah,
So this is one of the reasons why I do not attend cocktail hour. I do not like that. That is a non-negotiable for me.
Right.
I do not want to be standing around talking to a perfect stranger about absolutely nothing. Nothing of significance. I don't want that small talk. I can't do it. It's enough for me to have energy enough to get dressed and go and sit in the ballroom with everybody else during the program and have to speak and be nice and cordial and charming for a minute.
Right.
But the clock is ticking. I know I only got so much time and energy for this before I got to go home and get under the covers. So yeah, so no cocktail hour for me.
Here, here. We're two peas in a pod on this introversion thing. We got maybe about 4.5 minutes, 5 minutes, but I want to ask you this because one of the things that I know we often thought about when we were younger about people acting their age, and we would hear people say, act your age. Now that we have evolved into full senior citizen rights, and I embrace that again fully, I'm like, I'm gonna act however I want to act. What you mean act my age? My age has very little to do with what I'm doing. So what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I mean, that's the question I asked last week and when my post, what is age appropriate? What is that? What does that even mean? I mean, so, I could see act your age when you're talking to a 12-year-old and he's whining, maybe, that applies. You can apply that because they're still in the process of learning. Of learning life and themselves and the world. So, but when you get to be, I don't know, 30, 20, I don't know what age. I don't know what age.
Right.
I really feel like, you are responsible. You need to be a responsible person and you need to take care of yourself. You need to have self-care You need to have boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to, and it would be nice if you were in touch with the things that make you happy,
Mm-hmm.
and the things that feed your spirit so that you can remain a positive, responsible person in the world.
Yeah.
And so, whatever that is, I, age appropriate or not, I don't know, dance the jig on the way to work. It's fine with me if that makes you happy, So maybe it's the same dance you did when you were 15, but
Right.
who cares? If it makes you happy and you get to work and you get the paycheck and you pay the bills, you're
Yeah.
you're good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love the focus on feeding yourself because I think we lose that sometimes. We become
Easily.
preoccupied with what other people think about us and how they may judge us, and people are going to do that. But my point is, don't internalize the judgment. Have some clarity about who you are and your authentic self, and that's what you should give to the world because that's the only thing that's going to make you happy.
And you know what? So, what's age appropriate is one thing. What does it even mean? I stand by that. But what I feel like you're speaking to is, you know, learning yourself, internalizing and synthesizing the experiences that make up who you are.
Yeah.
That really only comes with time and maturity,
Mm.
honestly.
Mm.
You just have to have enough life experiences and sort of muddled through, to get on the other side, to begin to discover what you're made of and what resonates with you and what doesn't. Those kinds of internal things take time. It's, sort of like fine wine. It just takes time to cultivate and, um, I don't know, to, yeah, to develop before you can really, really get in touch with it, which is the beauty of the season of life that we're in right
Mm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've done that. We've kind of been forced to do the work to get here.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can now pull on those reserves and pull on the experience and the knowledge that we gained from all those experiences. Yeah.
This has been a wonderful conversation, Brenda. And of course, I'll probably invite you back to
I
continue the
love
journey.
talking to you.
Tell people how they can connect with you because you are going to be speaking on these matters. And there are people out there that I'm sure are pretty excited about some of the things we've said and want to maybe connect with you and learn about more.
Well, I hope so. So I'm on Instagram and on TikTok now. So I'm Instagram. My handle is Brenda B Wood. It's Brenda B Wood at Instagram, and on TikTok it's Brenda B Wood 102. I gotta remember. I need to look it up. I think it's Brenda. No, it's not Brenda B Wood. It's Brenda Wood 102. Brenda Wood 102 on TikTok, Brenda B Wood on Instagram. I have a Facebook account that's Brenda Wood, but I really haven't been on Facebook in a long time. My original Facebook accounts, two of them, were both hacked,
Mm.
and it took me forever to get back on. And so I have an account, but I'm not really doing much on that. So.
Yeah. Well, got to find you on IG and also TikTok. You've done something I haven't done yet. I still haven't activated my TikTok account. Maybe I will one day.
Well, you know what? I just heard that it may be going away again in September.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so don't hurry to do it. It may not even matter.
Right. Brenda Wood is an Emmy Award winning retired television journalist, and I'm honored that I get to call her friend. And so, Brenda, thank you for being with me today and sharing all this wonderful information. I look forward to our next conversation.
Absolutely, Kenny. Anytime, you know that. So
thank you. Enjoy yourself.
You do the same. Enjoy that retirement.
I'll let you know how it's going every now and then. Take
all
care.
the best to you, my friend.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Great conversation this afternoon with Brenda Wood. Wow. I tell you, I'm an introvert through and through. I just can't convince people about it. But to the point that I mentioned earlier, I'm not trying to convince anybody. That's who I am. I'm an introvert at heart and would much rather take the low road, not the high road. I'm not trying to be out there on 10 all the time, and I'm all about dialing things back a little bit so that we can move forward. I'm going to come back with my next guest in just a moment. It's Second Chance. I'm Kenny Anderson. I hope that you're having an amazing and fantastic afternoon. I know that I am.
Why do we say praise 90.1 FM?
There's a praise on the inside
For guidance.
that I can't keep to myself.
For inspiration.
Hold on, hey, just be strong.
For upliftment. Giving you continuous praise on Praise 90.1 FM.
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
Welcome back to our broadcast. Kenny Anderson, Second Chance Radio broadcast, having great conversations this afternoon, as I promised. And I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Brenda Wood, retired Emmy award-winning TV journalist, and so much more, and talking about our little introversion thing. And Ndala, did you know I was an introvert?
I did not know you were an introvert, Kenny. I did not know that.
I am. I really am.
And who would know? It's so interesting that people who are out in front can have these types of, introversion.
Yeah.
But introversion and extroversion isn't always what people think it is.
That's true, too. I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll talk a little bit about that in our conversation today or maybe later, because this is a rolling conversation that we began last month. And I'm so glad that we're able to continue. I'm saying last month only because it's only the 10th day of August, and it feels like it's still the middle of July, and time is just moving forward. For me, time is still a little bit this summer because I've been having such a great time, and that's fun. But let me properly introduce my guest. She's Dr. Ndala Booker. She transforms how organizations and individuals think, decide, and solve problems through practical, critical thinking frameworks. She's a keynote speaker, consultant, and author of a fantastic book called Rethinking Thinking, a practical guide for solving real problems from the boardroom to the breakfast table. After 15 years in higher education leadership, Dr. Booker founded Ndala Live, LLC, providing transformative experiences for a variety of different organizations, and audiences consistently describe her as passionate, engaging, and full of energy. And I'm sure my guest from our last conversation would absolutely agree. So welcome back to the broadcast.
Thank you.
It is so great to have you back, because we launched this conversation about rethinking thinking the last time and so many other things. And I wanted to dig a little deeper into that journey today, because so much of what you talk about in this book centers around something that I think is profoundly lacking in our society today, and that's critical thinking. The fact that so many people act without really doing due diligence in the thinking hierarchy, I'll say, and they react sometimes without enough information, or they react purely from an emotional standpoint.
Yeah.
And every action creates a consequence. And so because of that, there's something that we need to think about as it relates to our thinking and those cognitive processes.
Yeah.
Tell us, first of all, before I start firing some questions at you, because I got a bunch of them for you today. Just basically tell us what the concept of rethinking thinking is, and then we'll dig a little bit into the book.
Well, the concept is simple. It's just thinking about our thinking while we're in the process of thinking, so that we can, and here's the operative phrase, make your thinking better. Because we know that the quality of our lives is primarily dependent on the quality of how we think. So if we can learn to think better and rethink about our thinking and how we're thinking,
then that's just going to make the quality of our lives better.
Is the premise that thinking can improve simply because improvement is a good thing, or is the premise also people just don't think deeply enough?
Okay. So that's a really good question. And I think it's both. I do. I think sometimes people don't think deeply enough. And I also think that we just need to practice our thinking, just like we practice anything else. Like my violin's sitting over here on the floor, right? In my case. I am in the Advent Health Orchestra. And even though I've been playing since I was 7 years old, I have to practice. If I want to be better, if I want to do better at the music, I have to practice. So thinking is exactly the same thing. We should be practicing our thinking.
Yeah, I love that, because is it just human nature that we take those kinds of processes for granted, that we don't invest the kind of strategic thought about those things? We just kind of think, I have a brain, I think, or I've been to college and got a couple of degrees, so I know. You don't typically see people sort of strategically assessing and introspectively looking at how they think.
No. I mean, it's just like anything else. It's like breathing. Breathing is natural, but on a whole, how many of us really breathe well? We don't breathe deeply enough. We breathe in a very shallow sort of way, but we don't think about it because we've been breathing since we were born.
Yeah.
So then thinking is exactly the same. I think a lot of people would say, especially as you mature and you get older and you've been through whatever, you've gone through school, you're in your professional life, a lot of people will say, I think pretty well already.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And then we go through a couple of things and they're like, ooh, I didn't know I needed a little bit of help there. So yeah. I mean, but that's for all of us, because there are these natural things that happen. And I talk about that in my book too, like these natural barriers that happen in our minds that just come from being human. And because of those things, we have to learn how to, find them, see them,
Yeah. As a person who has spent a significant amount of my time in the higher education space, I can remember being so excited about this time of year with students going back to school and, working on my syllabi and what kinds of new experiences am I going to have this semester? And I was always really excited about that first day of class, because I remember challenging the students that this is not going to be just about a rote experience in learning. I'm not going to just ask you to read the book and we're going to talk about the book, that kind of thing. Yeah. That's part of it, but there's got to be more. And so I would tell them two things all the time. I would always say that, I have a bar, and that bar's up here. I don't know where you are between the floor and the bar, but here's where the bar is. The bar's not going to move. Yeah. Now I'll do everything I can during the semester to get you up to here, but this is where the bar is. That's the first thing I would tell them. The second thing I would tell them is I don't expect any of them to just sit back and listen to what I have to say. I hope that they bring their thoughts and their ideas to that space, because that's why we're there. Higher education should be a cauldron for critical thought, which, of course, with all these attacks on the academic space now makes it real scary as to where we're going. Yeah. But talk to me a little bit about what is critical thinking. When you share that concept with people, what are you thinking about in terms of what that is and how it perhaps can be an asset for people?
So first of all, I want to commend you, because unfortunately within education, sometimes the traditional methods of teaching don't really allow our students an opportunity to think critically.
Yes.
They don't give them the time to massage questions. We want them to answer questions at times. We want them to answer those questions right away. Yep. When in actuality, sometimes there's a bit of thought that needs to happen. And you give those moments and watch your students as they're like, instead of, okay, come on, somebody give me an answer, So I love that you did that. I love that that was one of the things that you told your students, that you wanted them to think and you wanted them to engage in what it was that you were, teaching them. So, yeah. So what is critical thinking and what do I tell people? Honestly, critical thinking is a natural process that we all should have. It's a skill that we can all learn. And it should be able to be something, as we're learning it, it becomes more and more natural. So this framework that I share and that I talk about in the book is one that allows you, just like anything else that you're learning to do, it gives you steps to follow. It gives you a recipe to follow. It gives you the ability to see something very clearly instead of having this cloudy idea of what this means. Because, and I may have mentioned this before when we talked, but usually when I talk to people and I ask them, what is critical thinking? A lot of people can't tell me what it is. Even though they may be in school, they may have come through school, they may be in their professional lives. And I say, well, what is critical thinking? A lot of people will give me kind of it's thinking more deeply, and okay, that's good. It's not a bad answer, but to give me something more detailed is hard, because when I was growing up, in the back of our textbook, there was this little box that said, critical thinking moment, answer this question. And then you were supposed to figure out what your teacher wanted. You were supposed to figure out exactly what that meant. How do I critically think this through? So now when I'm sharing this framework, it makes things so easy because it tells you what to do. It gives you steps to follow. And so you don't have to do any guesswork. You just have to ask the right questions and figure out, make sure you know what your purpose is and why you're doing what you're doing, and check your assumptions and think about the different pieces that are coming along, like the different concepts that are connected to whatever it is you're discussing. And so there's a place to start. And that makes all the difference in the world.
We see the evidence of this failure to critically think in two big areas of our society. The arena of politics, and we see it in the arena of faith. That people will oftentimes stay on the surface of what they know or what they've been exposed to, and they won't really challenge what they believe to be true any more than what they believe to be true and what they know. And I think it's fascinating, because I think that the application of critical thinking is essential to those two areas, especially with the polarization that we're experiencing in both areas right now. In the faith community, we see it. We see it between denominations, and we see it between religious systems or non-religious systems, even as a part of that conversation. But we also see it in the context of the political structure today, where people are increasingly less responsive and less accepting and tolerant of people who may have differences in thinking. And a lot of times when you ask them why, they're on the surface. It's not because of anything deep. Do you have any sense of how one might go about, whether it's faith, politics, how does one go about challenging, staying on the surface in the comfort zone that provides for a lot of people? Because that's why a lot of people stay on the surface. If you change requires accountability. And accountability is something a lot of people don't want to face. And so what do you think about that when you find maybe resistance among people who don't want to change, who don't want to grow, who don't want to accept the possibility that maybe what they think or know is not the whole story?
So one of the things about thinking well is, one, being fair-minded. And fair-mindedness as a critical thinking concept, what you find is that there are a lot of people who are not. And that has to do with other concepts underneath some of the ways that some of that bad habits or some of the challenges that we have in our thinking, like ego, like egocentrism, right? So when we have an idea of something that we believe is right, and we really want it to be right, we're hoping it's right because it's what we believe. And then sometimes we demand that it's right because it's what we believe. None of these things that's not fair, being fair-minded, and it's being very egocentric. And so those are two problems when it comes to thinking critically. If we're not being fair-minded, and if we're not recognizing our egocentric behavior, which is believing that our view is the only view. So I don't care what type of critical thinking session I do, I always deal with the barriers first. And the barriers start with those types of things: narrow-mindedness, egocentrism, self-deception.
Mm.
These things are a huge challenge. And some people will say, well, that's not me, because they don't like those words. They don't like how they sound. But when you look at the definition, you recognize it to be the case for a lot of people, for a lot of us. Because we are in our own space, and we have a tendency to think right here within our own space based on what we've learned, what we've experienced. Oh, don't let it be something we experienced. We think that that is the experience for everyone, right? But it might not be. Just because we experience something a certain way doesn't mean someone else will, right? So I think when it comes to religion and politics, and I tell people all the time, I know I grew up hearing, when you're in a big crowd, two things you never talk about. I know you've heard this too, right? Religion and politics. Well, now that I'm so immersed in what it is that I'm doing here with the critical thinking, I ask the question, why? Why can't we talk about it? The reason we can't is because it causes arguments. Why does it cause arguments? Because people are not thinking critically. Because if you're thinking critically, then you're dealing with the fact that someone else may have a different perspective. And instead of being upset about it or angry about it and arguing your point, then what you'll do is you'll ask questions. It's not necessarily, and I say this, people like, if I start having these conversations, then people try to change my mind. It's not about changing your mind. It's about broadening your perspective.
Yeah.
Right. So you might feel very firmly about something, and someone else may feel very firmly about the exact opposite. But you can hear where they're coming from, understand what their perspective is. The challenge is, Kenny, that a lot of times we see things and people don't really have a perspective. And you ask them, well, why did you vote for this person or that person? And they don't have an answer.
Yep.
So those are the challenges. So when you said, is it that people, what is it? Is it that they're not thinking, or is it that they're not thinking deeply? What is it? A lot of times it's that we're not really searching ourselves and getting those answers that we need to get. Right. I have a friend who was a particular faith, and I'm not going to say what it was, but I'll just say I have a friend who was a particular faith. This happened a few years ago, where he and I were talking, and I asked him why he was this faith. And he said, oh, well, my parents are this faith. And so, that's my faith. And I said, oh, okay, that's really nice. But I want to know why you are this faith. Why have you chosen this to be your faith? And he said, well, no, I come from a family of, and he said, my great-grandparents, my grandparents, my parents. And so this is why. And I said, okay, I can understand that as a reason. However, because faith is an ideology, it's supposed to be a personal choice. So why have you chosen this as the faith that you live by? And he said, Ndala, you would ask me that. Because his answer was that his parents were. Yeah. So
and that was the end of the line. That's where it stopped. It didn't go any further than that. Yeah.
That was it. It's like, I've chosen this because my parents are.
Yeah.
Just go with that. And no, it's like, you should know why you believe what you believe. You should know politically, you should know why do you believe what you believe, And so it's the same. And if we don't assess those things, and if we're not honest, if you vote for someone because you think they're the better looking person, okay, say that. I just think they're the better looking person. They're very attractive to me, and I think that that's great. I mean, at least be honest. But I guess sometimes we have challenges. So that's why I'm out here trying to drop this little bit of clarity into the ocean of human thoughts.
No, listen, you made me think too about my own personal faith journey, because I don't know that my relationship to God has changed. My relationship to God has deepened, but my relationship to my denomination has changed, because I too was once that person who did what I did because mom and dad did a good job of taking me to church and teaching me, things about the Bible and stuff like that. But it really wasn't until life started happening in such a way that my relationship with God deepened.
Yeah.
And so consequently, my relationship with everything that everybody else said all the time had to be questioned. I had to say, why am I doing this? And why does this matter? And why do I believe this in this particular way? And is there any room for anything else? That's a part of personal self-discovery. There's nothing wrong with that. That to me is what is the most exciting thing about the opportunity that life gives us.
Yeah, and being human.
We may discover something that we didn't know.
Absolutely. And then I hear, especially being this, like I'm doing critical thinking at churches as well. So I go and I speak for church, and I usually will take the verse "as a man thinketh," and I will lean the critical thinking in that direction. And so, and it's very interesting. And it's been really interesting, some of the resistance that pops up on this idea of not making of being aware of your assumptions and also not being judgmental. It's very interesting, some of the things that pop up out of that particular conversation. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, well, you're definitely coming back. We got a lot to unpack here. And I know we don't have as much time as we'd like to get it all, but we're going to get a few more things in today.
Okay.
You made me wonder out loud now about the workplace and how oftentimes there are literal landmines just waiting to explode in the workplace because of these inflexibilities and these situations where people may be unwilling to entertain a different way of doing something or experiencing something. Talk to me a little bit about the application of what you teach as it relates to the workplace.
So that's pretty simple, because it's the thing I love about this framework is that you can give it to anyone and start in the same place, and people begin to apply it to where they are. So when I go into the workplace, I start out talking about the barriers, because a lot of times when landmines are waiting to explode, it's because of some of those barriers that we have in our thinking. We have individuals who believe that they've been doing it long enough where they're always right, and that, they shouldn't be questioned. There are individuals who don't listen well. They're just not active listeners. They either haven't practiced the art of active listening, and so then there are challenges there. You have challenges with people not being able to compartmentalize their personal lives with their work lives. You have people, this is one of the bigger ones, especially when it comes to critical thinking. You have people whose not origin stories necessarily, but their backstory comes with some trauma. So you have individuals who are coming into the workplace. They've got stuff that's been happening in their personal lives or that's happened in the past. So now they're bringing that with them. So they become their own landmine, where you have to be really careful about how you tread around them, because if you say the wrong thing, or if you make it sound like there's an implication in what you're saying, and then they pick up the wrong thing from something you're implying, it can just be crazy. So when it comes to the critical thinking, the best part of it is to deal with some of those habits of thought that we have before you even begin to address the elements of thinking. What is my purpose? What are, the questions that I have about this? So for example, I'll give you an example. I had a VP who I was talking to. I had done a big session for their company. And when I got ready to close, she sent me an email. She was like, I need to talk to you. So I saw that and I said, okay, let's jump on a Zoom call. She was having an issue with someone else who was also on her same level, another VP. And she gave me the scenario. And I said, have you asked yourself these questions? And I started just going through some of the questions that I was picking up based on the scenario that she was giving me. And she said, I just never thought about that, which is so interesting, because the questions to me, when I'm thinking about them from another standpoint, they don't seem that difficult. But when people are standing in a situation, sometimes it's hard to see from another perspective. So then she went into a meeting with this person and she said, I just can't believe how different this meeting went, because I was looking at it from a different frame of reference. I was asking different questions. And so the critical thinking is so helpful, just if you begin dealing with you, because it starts out, this person is like this, and this, and I need them to deal with you first and see where you are and what you're bringing into the picture. And then from there, you can begin working things out on the other end as well.
We have 4 minutes, so it's not even fair for me to ask this, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Okay.
I would imagine that in the space of the work that you do, words like perspective and context are extremely important in terms of people framing the circumstances that they're in. You know, we're talking about perspective as relates to how somebody sees something and then ultimately interprets that situation. And of course, context gives you cues about how you may or may not want to react in situations. So I would imagine those two words are critical in the space of the work that you're doing with critical thinking.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Frame of reference is actually one of the elements of thought. If you are not aware that your frame of reference is not the only one, and then not only that, but your frame of reference can change just depending. I mean, if you look at it just literally, your frame of reference is going to change based on where you're standing or sitting. Right. So I'm facing this way right now. If I face this way, I'm going to see something else. If I turn around, I'm going to see something else. So it's interesting because I believe that a lot of the arguments that we have, a lot of the disagreements that we have, the challenges are based on frame of reference, based on perspective. It's just how you're looking at it.
Yeah. And the other piece of what you just said, which actually turns out to be an excellent example. So if we're talking, if you and I are a couple of people in conversation with a work environment, family situation, whatever, and you look at me, that creates a different kind of energy than if you look away from me.
Correct.
Or if you tend to be distracted by something, whether that's a technology device or something else that's going on. And all of those things are delivering messages, which of course gets into the area of microaggressions and more. But I mean, it's just a very fascinating thing that you can't be a lazy communicator. You know, you have to be conscientious about the space that you're in when you're attempting to get something done in whatever arena you're in.
Yeah, and who you're talking to. You know, it's talking to your children and remembering that you're not a 5-year-old anymore. And this 5-year-old has got things going on in their head that you may not remember. And based on the fact that you were raised by different people than this 5-year-old is being raised by, then you're going to have a different perspective anyway when you were 5.
Yeah.
You know, so it's really interesting if we can focus on that and we can think about the fact that everyone has their own unique and precious perspective. I think it would change a lot.
I have to get this in also. Notice I keep saying I need to get something in, right? I'm really working these last 4.5 minutes.
I see you.
So I got to get this in, but you dedicate the book and you acknowledge several people who've been part of your journey, but you started with your parents who happen to be a significant hero and shero in my own life. Your mom, Dr. Leela Gooding, who was a legend at Oakwood College, the university for many years. And of course, your dad, I don't know if I ever told you a story about how your dad helped redeem my psychology degree when I took his class at A&M in statistics in order to recover from a disaster at Oakwood got an A out of his statistics class. But he became one of my most wonderful instructors in life. And Dr. Earl Gooding and I enjoyed just a beautiful relationship over the years. And I was so thrilled to see how you honored them through this dedication in your book.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. That is amazing. I love that. And you know, I was just at GC recently with the orchestra general conference, and the number of people who ran into me and were like, "Your mom. Yeah. I just love your mom."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I hope I can have the same type of legacy that my mom has. Because my parents are getting ready to celebrate their 60th wedding anniversary on the 7th. We're going to be celebrating it in a couple of weeks here. It's just really exciting. Yeah. So. Oh my goodness. I mean, and when you think about it, Kenny, the reason I speak, the reason I walk, the reason I carry myself the way I do has everything to do with my parents.
Yes.
Everything. Yes. Now, when I was younger, I cannot say that I appreciated it.
Right.
The way that I appreciate it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now I see and feel deeply the influence that my parents had and still have on my life.
Yeah. 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 What a powerful blessing. How can people connect with you to learn more about the book, to learn more about the work that you do through Ndala Live and so much more?
Well, I would just be delighted if people would follow me on their preferred social media platforms. I was listening in on Brenda Woods. She was saying how when she was saying that, she doesn't get on Facebook a lot. I know some people just don't do certain things, but I'm on Ndala. I'm Ndala Live on everything. So you should be able to find me there. My website is ndala.live. And you can always reach out by email, which is ndala@ndalalive.com. So, yeah, people can find me pretty easily.
We will continue the dialogue soon because I know where to find you.
Yes, you know where to find me, Kenny.
Listen, and have a good rest of the day. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Kenny.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Dr. Ndala Gooding enriching the platform this afternoon, and such great information. The book is Rethinking Thinking, and we hope that you'll check it out. It really is a fantastic book, folks. It's a great read, and something she says at the front of that book about it not being an academic journey, I think is extremely important. So you're not going to be in there like in a classroom, even though you're going to learn a lot, but it's not intimidating. It's something that provides practical nuggets for your life that you can benefit from, and we hope that you'll take advantage of that. My next guest is up and ready. I'm going to bring him in just a moment, but you got to hear this first. We'll be back in just a moment.
Transforming
lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
Once again, my thanks to Dr. Ndala Booker for joining us this afternoon and sharing some great thoughts and ideas about the work that she's doing and the space that she's in. And, of course, we're very appreciative of her dropping in and sharing those nuggets on this afternoon. The Tennessee Valley Diversity Leadership Colloquium proudly announces its 10th anniversary Black Tie Gala themed Impacting Communities and Developing Future Leaders. This milestone event will be an unforgettable evening of elegance, impact, and inspiration, and will be held on August the 23rd at 6 o'clock p.m. at the beautiful Jackson Center. One of the places that I know if I go to the Jackson Center, the food is going to be outstanding. So they've made an amazing choice and the right choice to have this event. Dr. Edwan O'Neill is the owner, executive director of the Diversity Leadership Colloquium, and we welcome him to the broadcast on this afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Kenny. Thank you for having me.
Listen, it's great to have you because I'm excited not just about celebrating a gala that reflects 10 years of excellence and progress and investment in the community, but also I think a mission and a work that has so much value to the people who have participated in it. And we're going to kind of give people a high-level overview of the work that's been done until now, and we'll just kind of move into this moment of celebration and let people know how they can be a part of it as well. There are about 2 people out there that haven't heard about the Diversity Leadership Colloquium. So let's make sure those 2 people know about what this initiative is.
Yes, this is a professional organization that was founded in 2015 by Dr. Dorothy Houston, and her goal was to provide a platform for individuals who are looking for mentorship, individuals looking for opportunities to network, to grow in their professional careers and their personal lives. And so this platform has been around for 10 years now. We have graduated over 300 alumni, and our alumni are doing some phenomenal things in our community. And so we're very proud of the work we've done thus far. And this celebration is just a way to say, hey, thank you to all the supporters. Thank you to all of our subject matter experts, all of our sponsors who have been a part of this 10-year journey, and just to welcome them back to a big celebration to say, hey, continue to do the wonderful work in Huntsville, Madison County, and the Tennessee Valley.
You know, when you think about 10 years, that's a decade of something going on that has had some significance to the people in the community, 300 plus alumni at this point,
Yes, sir.
doing all kinds of amazing things across the spectrum of this community and beyond. It's got to be a great sense of pride and accomplishment in that process with the seed that Dr. Houston planted so long ago. And as people think about what we're talking about now in this moment of celebration and affirmation, kind of talk to us about what does this process look like? What does the initiative look like? And for somebody who registers for this experience, what happens in that space?
So once you apply, we go through the applications, and then it's a 12-week program. So we changed the program a little bit after COVID hit. And so we went from 8 weeks to 12, and we kind of added some things that we thought was very important. So we added an orientation as the first night. And that way you come in and then you kind of find out the history of DLC. Then you'll understand what the 12 weeks will look like. So you kind of get your mind ready and prepare yourself. And so we added an orientation, and then we added a community research initiative. And so with all of the participants now, they're broken up into groups of 4, and then they have to go into the community in different pillars. One is education, one is civic and community engagement, one is small business, and one is and the last pillar is can't think of it right off top. Finance and investments. So they go out into the community and network with different businesses and talk about their plans. They talk about their practices. They talk about their hiring practices, their promotional practice, and how those things fit within their business. And they bring that information back. So now we get to learn from different educational perspectives, different small businesses, how they're growing in their business, how they're growing in education, and what is to come in the future. And so they come back and present that to the rest of the cohort. And then the second part of it, they have a literary book we call Inclusive Leadership, which is a New York Times bestseller. So it has about 6 great chapters in it. They're broken up. And so our groups will come back and report on those chapters, what they take from it. And they're able to get a different perspective. And so each group have a different perspective of what the literary presentation is all about. And then it really opens up our eyes too, because one thing about the cohort, we bring in people from all over the community, and we all have different perspectives. And sometimes you don't think about what your neighbors have thought about or what their cultural background is, and then they have to share that space. And then we all grow professionally and personally.
Yeah, it really sounds like a great opportunity for seasoned professionals. It sounds like a great opportunity for people who may be new to the community, perhaps even recent graduates. And I'm imagining that you have a real nice mix of people as you do that screening for applications and things like that. What kind of things are you looking for when you are actually putting these cohorts together?
We look for, and to be honest, we look for the diversity. And I know we're kind of, this buzzword now in our community has kind of been taken aback in a negative way. But one thing that we say at orientation, Kenny, is that diversity, if they don't leave with anything from DLC, we want them to know that diversity simply means different. Mm-hmm. Simply means different. And God created each one of us as an individual, as an original. And so we share that with them. And one of the things I want them to take away from orientation is that if we get to know people, regardless of their skin color, regardless of their ethnic background, you will realize that you guys have more in common than you have differences. But we have to take that time to get to know our neighbor, share our experiences, and then we all grow as a community. And so that's the initiative, that's the mission that we try to share with them as they come in. And we think it's very important. And we try to create a very safe space within DLC. This is your new family. A lot of our cohort members really open up. Some of them who are very introverted kind of grow in that space. And understand that they can be themselves, they can open up more, learn more, get more involved. And because once you go through the program, our goal is for you to become active in the community. We want you serving on boards. We want you active. We want you volunteering, and then bringing in other young, old, fresh out of college, bringing in new leaders who wants to get involved in our community. And so we challenge them to go out and share their stories and just grow within the process and become a very active alum.
Yeah. Active alum is a huge thing. I'm excited about that for a lot of reasons because everything you're saying, I'm excited about it. First of all, because of what you stressed about emphasizing leaning into diversity as opposed to leaning away from it. We're just basically talking about the way people differ, and all of us do differ. So if we can at least accept that reality that no one can change, then maybe we can start moving forward with some productive conversations about quality of life matters that impact our community. And then you said something that, I get real excited about when I start talking about giving back to the community and serving on boards and commissions and, other community events and activities that take place, because really that's what this community is all about in terms of how it thrives. And you and I both know we live in a community that is growing like weeds. I mean, people are moving here. They're excited about moving here. They're looking for ways to get engaged. And this sounds like a perfect opportunity for people to kind of step right in, get plugged in, and figure out what happens next.
Yes, it is. It definitely is. We get calls all the time for different boards that need, they need women, they need young men, they want a certain age group. And so we can provide that through our alumni base. And so we want them to graduate, we want them to stay active, and we want them to serve. Like go and serve the community, use these 12 weeks to grow professionally, grow personally, but also go and serve this community, because if you get out and start serving, then you can start making a difference.
These initiatives always work because of volunteers who come in and donate their time and donate their resources and other kinds of things to make it happen. And I would imagine that over the course of these 12 weeks, with the orientation and the community-based initiative that's a part of that, that people are coming in to talk to these folks, or you're going to them, however that works out. But talk a little bit about that piece, because the opportunity to just meet other people and be exposed to other people, not just in the cohort, but across the spectrum of the community, has to be exciting for the people who are participating in this initiative.
It is, Kenny. And so we call them subject matter experts, or SMEs. And so these individuals, and we have some who've been dedicated for the full 10 years. You talk about a Trooper Somerville, you talk about a Kim and Larry Lewis, just to name a few, who have said, hey, we are here. We want to share our experiences. And what we share with the cohort is that typically in a normal day, you will not be able to meet these type of people. We bring in vice presidents from banks to talk about planning, talk about investments. And so those things are very important. A lot of CEOs of small business, people want to start small businesses, realtors. So they make a lot of connections through the subject matter experts who come in. And our challenge to them is get their emails, have lunch, before you start to build your capacity in your professional career or your personal career and what you want to do. Because outside of your job, you may have some other personal endeavors. And then you may meet that very person who can help you get to that next step right here. And so our subject matter experts have been very dedicated. Daniel Cassenberry is one. I can with a name from United Way of Huntsville. Fran Fruler from Manor House. We have some very dedicated people who love DLC, and they're always there. And not to exclude any of the rest of them, but just want to name a few. But they love coming and serving. We feed them well, Kenny. We can't pay them a whole lot. So we feed them a nice meal, and we give them some gifts for their time and efforts. But they're dedicated to the community. And like I tell them, we want you to be a subject matter expert on down the road. Once you get through this program, start to serve, start to learn about the community and serve in different capacities, and come back. I want you to be a session leader. I want you to meet our subject matter experts and continue to expand your life and your career goals as well.
Yeah, there's nothing for me finer than the opportunity to get plugged into the community. And I talk to people all the time that are looking for ways to give back or get involved and learn a little bit more about the landscape of a evolving community. And this is, again, a great way for that to happen. You've reached a point now where you got 10 years of successes, and of course, there's got to be some learning experiences as well along the way. But you have a chance to now celebrate this 10-year journey in a powerful way. Tell us a little bit about the 10th anniversary Black Tie Gala that's coming up, and what could people expect who choose to be a part of this?
You're going to have a great time, Kenny. We want it to be fun and vibrant, some live music, We'll have the camera crew there capturing all of this event. But I'm very excited about our keynote speaker as well. And he's been a long-time supporter. Mr. Wes Kelly, the CEO of Huntsville Utilities, will be our keynote speaker. Wes has supported DLC since the inception in 2015. We have, I think Huntsville Utilities have had a person in every cohort. We've graduated 19 cohorts. And so we're very excited about their support and their initiatives and growing Huntsville Utilities and making it look as the community is what Wes's goal is through his employment and his hiring. And so Wes, I think will do a phenomenal job. I think he's going to be fun and entertaining. And so we have a great night planned for you, a wonderful meal, as you indicated, Jackson Center has wonderful food. But there will be some live entertainment, a fun, vibrant event, and just a celebration, Kenny, of the 10 years. And we want to recognize some of our subject matter experts who's been here. We call them the pioneer SMEs. We'll recognize some of our sponsors who's been there for us since the inception, and just our supporters throughout the community. And we just want to just say thank you to them, because 10 years is a milestone in the work that we're doing. And we just want to say thank you. We want our community to come in and just celebrate with us.
Yeah, and just to reinforce what you're saying again, and you can say a little bit more if you want to, but, as you're talking, I'm just once again recognizing the fact that these kinds of things don't happen in isolation. The success of these organizations is not something that's done independently. It's really this collective energy from the community, from people who come together consistently pouring into the success of that thing. And you mentioned Huntsville Utilities. I'm impressed across the spectrum and the landscape of our community about how they're involved as good neighbors. I know it's easy for people to talk about, increased rates on or rate increases on utilities and other kinds of challenges. If a storm comes through, they lose their power for a minute. Huntsville Utilities is deeply invested in the success of our community and its employees across the spectrum of so many different opportunities. And so when you mention that about Wes and his team, and the fact that you've had many people graduate from Huntsville Utilities who've been a part of this cohort experience, I've seen that consistently in other areas as well. And I'm just so happy to hear that. And I know that, again, the success of these things happens because of the collective effort of people who come together in the community.
Absolutely. And so, not only Huntsville Utilities, but HPD, Huntsville Police Department, at the time, Captain McGregor came through the program with Dorothy. They met. Then he loved it so much he sent his wife through. And then and then after she graduated, he said, "Hey, we're going to invest in this. We want our officers to be a part of this." And so HPD is another one who sends us an officer every cohort, just highly invested. Some of our colleges as well, Alabama A&M, Calhoun, Drake State. We're getting some professionals from there, some staff members there, administrators coming through, and so we've been very blessed, Kenny, throughout the community to have some support. And then some people just say, "Hey, you know what? I want to invest in myself.
Yeah,
I want to pay my tuition. I want to go through this part because I want to grow my capacity. I want to get plugged in." And so you have some motivated professionals who really want to get involved in the community, and we give them a great platform and put them in spaces where they can really do those things. And so we've been blessed. We thank God for the opportunity. I thank God for our team, our alumni who's very supportive. And we just want to continue to grow and continue to move forward because the work that we're doing is very important and we do not want it to stop. And our goal is to grow, not only from a professional organization, but now we're looking to the college students. Now and as we said, developing future leaders, we're going to be looking at a high school component here in the next couple of years where this thing can kind of start to transition. You can matriculate up and we want to get them involved. We want leaders developing leaders. And so there are some high school students who are, well on their way. We want to start getting them plugged into some things as well and actually becoming interns as well. So some will be doing some internships and following the DLC leadership. And so we think that's very important.
Yeah, you're currently a program manager for PCIP, for the Space Missile Defense Command internship program. I'm a huge proponent of internships and why they matter to organizations. Can you talk just a little bit about what I would imagine to be your passion for working with interns? because I think that's where the action is, to be able to engage with students at that level and people at that level to help them develop their own dream and passion for their careers.
Yeah, Ken, I'll be honest with you. I was in education, higher education for 15 years as a young administrator. And I happened to meet Dorothy Houston, and I was like, I have to work for you. And so for 2 years, I texted her and we communicated, and she said, Edwan, when I get a position open, I'm gonna hire you. And so God made it happen, Kenny. And actually, I worked for Dorothy for 7 years. I just moved over to PCIP, who was one of our partner contractors, this past October. And so we laugh about that, but working under Dorothy, I learned so much in such a short period of time. And you know her history. We don't have to talk about it. But working with her, I was able to use my degrees to really impact young people. And so leaving higher education, I was passionate about young people. And so working with her, I was still able to use that from a government perspective. And so under her leadership, I worked with DOD on program, taking the Pentagon to the people. We work with ONR, Office of Naval Research, where we built their program from 5 students to over 100 students in 5 years, traveling from all over the country and doing internships all over. And so same thing with ARL, Army Research Lab. We will work with them. We built their program to over 100 students. And so to see these young people get an opportunity to not only learn and grow in their field, but also make a little money where they can invest that money while they're in college or buy a car or whatever they need to do, pay their rent. But to see them grow, and then the goal with our SMDC program, which is a new 5-year program that we just developed, SMDC want to enhance their capacity and increase their employment. And so they want these students to come in as a sophomore, to intern for 3 years, and they are willing to hire them if they're a good fit as soon as they graduate. And I'm very proud of that. They're paying some very competitive wages. And like I told my students, if you want to be an electrical engineer, civil engineer, physicist, this is the way to go. And they're serious about hiring you when you graduate from college with great benefits and a very competitive salary.
Wow, it sounds like a great opportunity. How would people learn more about that opportunity?
So we're building a brand new website. It will be up September 1st. We're going to be advertising this all over social media, LinkedIn, different spaces. And so I've already shared with several people, hey, September 1, the application will open up. I've met with Tuskegee University already. I'm going to get their top students. I'm going to be meeting with Alabama State, Alabama A&M, South Alabama, and say, listen, I want your top tier students.
Yeah.
I have an opportunity of a lifetime for them. And so it's been going very well. And just with my experiences over the past 7 years working in this space, a lot of this is just a phone call. So I know a lot of the deans of engineering, a lot of the vice presidents, chief of staffs at universities, especially at HBCUs, they're looking for opportunities. And so we met with Tuskegee 2 weeks ago. And once I met with the dean, he said that their new president, who got there June 1st, his number one priority was every student at Tuskegee to have an internship. So he said, Dr. O'Neill, you are right on time with the opportunity. And so this is where I think colleges and universities are moving forward. Yeah. Because we have to expand our capacity in the world to get it to get the place where people can have a quality of life. I think the internship helps to build that.
Yeah. Well, come snatch some from over here at Oakwood, too.
Yes,
they've
sir.
got a brand new president as of July the 1st, so the stars are in alignment.
Yes, sir. I will be at Oakwood as well in the next couple of weeks. Yes, sir. Looking forward to it.
Fantastic. And how would people get connected with the Diversity Leadership Colloquium? I'm sure there's an application process. Where would they find that information?
So we have all of your typical social media. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have Twitter, but mainly you can go to the website. All the information is there. It's www.10TN, that's in Tennessee, Valley, VALLEY, DLC.com. You can apply online. You can hear more information about the gala. You can buy your tickets for the gala there. So all that information is there. And all of our contact information too. You can send us an email at info@10 Tennessee Valley, tnvalleydlc.com as well. And we'll respond. Someone from our leadership team will respond to you very quickly and answer any questions that you may have. So if you hadn't bought your tickets for the gala, we need you to do so. We're going to have another social media blast here in the next week. Tickets are still on sale. You can buy a table. We have some sponsorship tables. You just want to buy an individual ticket for you and your spouse, a loved one. They're $75. But it's going to be a fun night. It's going to be a great night for Huntsville community as we celebrate 10 years of the Diversity Leadership Colloquium.
Yeah, well, listen, congratulations on the 10-year journey. Congratulations on the gala. That's going to be a big celebration. And congratulations on the future success of the Diversity Leadership Colloquium. This is a big win for our community and for our region. And we hope that people will take full advantage of the opportunity. We'll drop those touch points in the comment section so that people can capture that. We'll also post that information on our social media sites so that people can benefit from that as well. He's Dr. Edwan O'Neill, and it's so great to be able to talk with him this afternoon and be able to share all this great information. We're going to have you come back and maybe bring a couple of graduates or people that have experienced the thing.
Absolutely.
That first-person testimony.
We'll love that, Kenny. We'll love it. We love you, man. We thank you for all you've done. I know, when you retired, it was a sad moment for our community. What are we going to do? Kenny is retiring. He does so much. And so, but I love Dr. Barber. Dr. Barber actually came through our program at NACI and Overbound, went on to Cornell, done some phenomenal things, got his PhD. So I've known him for a long time. I know his mother. I think he's a great choice to continue your legacy. He has some big shoes to fill, but I think he's a great choice for the community and a great young, bright mind.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I tell Randy all the time, I said, listen, man, I am your biggest cheerleader and your biggest advocate, and I need you to run with this thing as far and as fast as you can go. You don't have to ever look over your shoulders and think I'm, scrutinizing what you're doing or criticizing what you're doing or judging what you're doing. You're in this place for this time, and I want you to be able to do everything you can do, and I stand behind you 110%. So great transitional moment. I'm grateful to have had the opportunity, but now it's Randy's turn to do it, and I certainly appreciate that. I hope that you have a great rest of the day, and we're going to, like I said, push this information out to as many people as possible, make sure they know what's going on.
Kenny, thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Have a good afternoon.
Same here. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Great way to wrap up our broadcast, folks. That big 10th anniversary gala is going to take place. And I tell you, folks, you don't want to miss it. August 23rd at the Jackson Center. That's all you got to say to me, the Jackson Center, because the food's going to be amazing. And, of course, the celebratory environment is going to be amazing to affirm the value of this organization in our community. I want to thank my guests who've been on the broadcast. Of course, I'm going to go in reverse today. I don't usually do that. But Dr. Edwan O'Neill, who is he's the owner and executive director of the Diversity Leadership Colloquium, talking about the 10th anniversary Black Tie Gala that's going to be taking place. Of course, Dr. Ndala Booker, just keynote speaker, leadership guru, author, and so much more, talking about her book, Rethinking Thinking, and just a great way to leverage some good opportunities in conversation today with her. Brenda Wood, my good friend, veteran broadcast journalist whose career spanned 40 years in reporting and anchoring the news. Brenda, of course, is a now retired Emmy-award winning journalist, and just great to talk to her today about her journey as an introvert and how she is now speaking out about that journey on her platform. And then finally, getting real about mental illness, GRAMI's annual Brad Pugh Memorial First Responders Fundraiser with Adina Peyton, founder of GRAMI, and her vice president, Sammie Laster. We appreciate them all being with us on this afternoon. And on next Sunday, it's already August the 17th. On next week, we've got a big show planned. It's my What's Going On segment featuring commentary with David Person, Reverend Derek Green, Dr. Freddie Russell, and Rana Brzee. And we look forward to having that conversation on next week. Want to remind you also that Jazz in the Park is on its way. Kicks off on September 7th at Big Spring Park West, 5 o'clock p.m. In order to get more information about that, you can check out my personal page and also the Jazz in the Park Huntsville page. In the meantime, we hope that you have a great rest of the week. Remember that knowledge is better than riches. Hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you again soon. Good day.
Thank you for tuning in to Second Chance. We hope that the information that was shared has been a blessing to you and that your life will be enriched as a result of it. We'd love to hear from you. So, please send your email comments to kennethanderson@mxlife@aol.com. That's mxlife@aol.com. And check out our Facebook page, 2ND Chance. That's 2ND Chance. In the meantime, have a great week, and we'll talk to you again next week. Good day.